Yes, I've gotten this question so many times, I decided to go ahead and do a video about it, even though I've talked about this in the last 2 live shows, okay? And that is, do I think they're going to take away Social Security or VA benefits or roll them back? Okay, now I know that there's a lot happening out there right now, and it's all happening at one time. But as I've mentioned in a couple of the live shows, okay, there is no executive order that can be signed to take away your Social Security benefits as well as your VA benefits. It has to be legislation that is done by Congress. That's where it starts. It has to start in Congress, and then they could sign something that could actually change Social Security and the Department of Veterans Affairs. But those two are considered mandatory spending, okay? Those are promises that were made by the country. One is from your payroll taxes that you paid into Social Security, which is your insurance, if you're on SSDI, or you're receiving your retirement benefits. So it takes legislation to change that. The same with the VA benefits. VA benefits have been around since the late 1800s. So in order to change that, right, it has to go through Congress and through legislation. So hopefully that puts you a little bit at ease. But let me also say this. We also have a court system, a legal system. So even if something were to occur that temporarily blocks it, okay, there will be many organizations suing to freeze it, to get it turned back on, kind of like what's happening right now. So I would not stress about that part of it, okay, because there is a law and there's legislation that has to be passed. Now, when it comes to the individual situations with the Department of Veterans Affairs, as I mentioned previously, there are 3 new changes that are coming this summer that the VA has already sent out newsletters about and information about, and other YouTubers as well as other social media influencers have already talked about this. Those are changes to mental health, sleep apnea, and tendinitis, okay? Now, with those, could those be rolled back? Of course. Could those be changed? Of course, okay? They have the power at the Department of Veterans Affairs to do that if Congress approves it, okay? They can't just go and just make changes without the approval of Congress. Now, the ones that are coming up this summer have already gone through that process. We know this, okay? This information has been out there in the public for anybody to see and read. Here's what I would tell you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. If something were to happen and you were to receive a letter saying, we're going to reduce your benefits or take benefits away, the number one thing that stops any of that is an appeal, okay? It's the moment you get a letter saying, we're going to roll you back from 100 to 70%, file an immediate appeal. We're going to change your rating from this amount to this amount, and you don't agree with it, file an appeal. An appeal is a number one thing to stop any and all action, okay? Now, what they're gonna happen during that appeal process is they're gonna review it, and then you get the opportunity to respond, whether you're doing it yourself, through an advocate, or through an attorney, okay? But it does gives it a pause and the opportunity to put in your say-so. It works the same way with Social Security. If you get a letter from Social Security that says, hey, we're going to cut off your benefits because of X, Y, and Z, you can file an immediate appeal. It will pause that action. But just know that with Social Security, it's a little bit different. With Social Security is going to continue to pay you. Now, if you end up losing your appeal, all that money from the date that you filed that appeal that you received, and if you lose, you got to pay that back. So that's a decision you have to make, either with your attorney, your advocate, or if you're doing it on your own, sit there and think about your actions that you're doing on your own. But there are always ways where the federal government can work around things in each department. But as a general rule, as far as the current president who is in office and executive orders, no, he cannot just sign an executive order and turn off your benefits when it comes to Social Security or VA compensation, okay? But each department has their own way of doing things, which is why you have an appeal. So pay attention to what's going on with you. Make sure you read all your letters that come in. Make sure you understand everything. And if you don't, call them. Ask them questions. It does not hurt to place a phone call to figure out whether or not this is something you agree with, you don't agree with, and your power of the appeal is the one way to pause anything and give you a say-so as to why you disagree. And if you can show evidence of why that is, you'll be able to win your appeal. Okay, guys? So hopefully this information helps you all out. I decided to go ahead and do this video because I kept getting asked this question, excuse me. But with that being said, guys, that's it. I'm out. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your day.